Mary had a little lamb. The fault.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream.
Change has come to America.
Keep the faith.
This is going to be a disaster.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Ні слава, ні воля, ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці. Запануєм ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що
guess whose side I'm on? Yeah, I guess. I hope you saw what I saw. I hope you did. This was quite a dog and pony show. This is the day, please mark it on your calendar, everybody. The last day of February 2025, the 28th of February, was not only Buy Nothing Friday, it was not only a No Buy Friday, a Boycott Friday, whatever you want to call it Friday, to make our disgust known with regard to this president gutting our government. Now there's there's a memo that's going around that they want to cut 60% of the Department of Labor. 60% of the Department of Labor. Do you think that will stand a chance against the oligarchy if there's no Department of Labor? I just, I'll leave it up to you to figure that one out. But today was the day that the President of the United States, Donald John Trump, literally told the world America is part of the axis of evil. This is the day that Donald Trump told the world that the United States is not a democracy and doesn't stand with the democracies of the world. Instead, it stands with Vladimir Putin. Instead, it stands with North Korea and Kim Jong-un. Instead, it stands with Viktor Orban, who runs an unfree country, an autocratic Hungary. It stands with psychos and torturers and people that kidnap children and disappear them out of Ukraine into Russia. It stands with people who rape old ladies. It stands with people who blow up dams. It stands with the aggressor. It doesn't stand with the peacemakers. It will reward the aggressor, and he will give the green light to more aggression in this world. That's what happened today. There was supposed to be a meeting today. Here, I mean, the whole show was prepped right before I got here. And then I get here, and I, of course, we turn everything on. We test things, blah, 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 and the TV goes on too. And oh, my freaking God, I'm listening to somebody go, something's going on at the White House. Something's going on at the White House. We need to cut away. It's Breonna Keeler. We need to cut away. We need to cut away. Boris, something's going. Okay, we're going to throw it to the White. And all of a sudden, we are treated to the most unhinged, nonsensical, violent almost performance by a United States president to a Democratic ally who has been the most incredibly brave and decent leader that Europe has seen in quite some time. Volodymyr Zelensky came to the United States, and Donald Trump thought he could extort him. Donald Trump thought he could side with Putin and bait Zelensky into, I don't know, making a fool of himself. And it just didn't go the way that Donald Trump had hoped. Instead, we ended up with a president ranting and raving about Hunter Biden's laptop. I swear to God. Ranting and raving about Hunter Biden's laptop and pornography on the laptop and how poor Putin had to go along with a scheme called Russia, Russia, Russia. I swear to God, he went back to that. Goes back to like the Mueller report, goes back to 2015, goes all the way back. It was just, it's so obvious that Donald Trump will never, ever, ever, never do the right thing by this country. He will never, ever defend our democracy. He will never be on the side of the good guys. Europe, by the way, I have to tell you. So, all this week we've had European prime ministers rush to the White House. And, we're not sure, like, exactly why. All of a sudden this week we had one European leader after another. We started with Macron in France. We had Starmer yesterday, the newly elected British prime minister, who, tried subtly to correct Donald Trump when Donald Trump was lying about Europe's contribution to Ukraine, okay? I mean, the real numbers are not what you are hearing from Donald Trump. In fact, nothing Donald Trump says is true, nothing anymore. Aid to Ukraine by the United States is $120 billion. Now, he always triples it. He says it's $350 billion, and Europe only gave $100 billion, okay? I don't know why he loves to I guess because he wants Europe to seem to the American people like they're cheapskates or they suck and only America ponies up. And it's all a lie. And he keeps saying that Europe loaned the money to Ukraine. That's not true either. A lot of the money was gifted to Ukraine. Some of it was loaned. Same with us. $20 billion of the aforementioned $120 billion was given to Ukraine in a loan. Okay, so just so you know. So for us, that's 5/10 of our GDP. 120 billion was 5/10 of our GDP. Europe gave 138 billion. That's more than 120 billion, no matter how you cook the books. And Europe gave more, okay? And if you look at the little European breakaways from Russia, you look at Estonia and Denmark and Lithuania. I shouldn't include Denmark in that description, but smaller countries. Denmark gave 2.4% of their GDP to Ukraine. Estonia, which is a very tiny country. I've actually been there. It's very small. It's cobblestone streets. It's beautiful. It's it's a throwback to 12th century castles. It's just romantic and wonderful. But Estonia gave 2.5% of their GDP to defend Ukraine. Lithuania, about the same thing, 2.1% of their GDP. We gave 0.5%, and Donald Trump thinks this somehow makes us superior to everybody else on the planet, which is just, it's a bizarre transactional view of the world. It has nothing to do with the America that we thought we were, which is a value-based country. We always thought that America was great because America was good. Well, we're no longer good. We're now a transactional country where you give us a half a $1 trillion worth of your mineral wealth, and maybe we'll defend you. Maybe we won't. We're not going to put any security guarantees in there. But in our opinion, you can't defend yourself without signing off on this deal. Okay? This was Donald Trump's rant in the Oval Office. It was really sick and sad, even if he feels that way, to telegraph that to the whole freaking democratic world. Because now, after Macron was here and tried to correct him, after Starmer was here and tried to correct him, Europe knows for real America is over, meaning the America that you could count on, America, the ally, America, the values-based country, the democracy, it's over. And so now on Sunday, all the European leaders will meet in London with Zelensky. On Sunday, all of Europe. And Donald Trump is going to be on the side of Russia. Yep, he's going to be on the side of an oligarch, dictator, thug who murders his political enemies, literally murders them, and steals Ukraine's children. Literally a war crime.
A things Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
All right, I'm going to play you the egregious part of this Zelensky-Trump Oval Office White House meeting, okay? It's about 10 minutes long, and then we can talk, okay? Then we can talk about what just happened. But it picks up here where a reporter was asking Donald Trump, like, whose side are you on? Because he really was very pro-Putin in this meeting, and Zelensky was suffering through it. He really was. I mean, you know, he comes from a war-torn country. I'm sure he's glad to get back there after this in the White House. That's how hostile the White House has become to our allies. So it picks up there where he's being asked, like, why are you siding with Putin?
I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, you know, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way, so that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014
2014.
and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influenced.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influenced.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you can...
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a minute. No, you've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
you
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion. We gave you military equipment, and you men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days. I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
maybe
new.
Less.
In 2 weeks. Of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long.
Yeah, that's why. There's more. There's more. He goes so far off the rails that he actually goes way into the Wayback Machine and starts bringing up Hunter Biden's laptop. Because this, everybody, is the kind of leadership America deserves. This is the kind of stand-up tough guy with a spine of steel, screaming at Zelensky, screaming at him, after J.D. Vance literally makes him say, did you even say thank you? I would appreciate it if you said thank you. He goes, I said it a lot. I even said it today. I said it at the cabinet meeting. I'm saying it now. They are, obviously, they were trying very hard, because they knew Zelensky was not going to take this deal without security agreements in it, and there were none. So they tried very hard to make him into the villain. And you know what? No one's buying.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
And it continues.
You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me. That wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. What? The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? This is going to be great television, I will say that.
Yeah, it's terrible for the world. It's horrible for democracy. It sucks for children in the eastern part of, Ukraine who are being kidnapped. It sucks for the old ladies who are being raped in Bucha, okay? But here's the thing. This is all a lie. There's so many lies in there. It's hard to know where to start, but not for me. Because I'll take the biggest lie, the really big one, where the ceasefire wasn't broken under me, he says, to Zelensky, who had just told him. Not only did they invade us in 2014, he goes 2015, no 14. Well, I wasn't there. True, he wasn't there. But they stayed there in Crimea and they occupied it the whole time Trump was president, the whole time. And then a ceasefire, while Trump was president, was negotiated with Donald Trump and Macron and Angela Merkel. Remember this? And it was all for a gas pipeline. But that's what motivated everyone to get on board and sign a ceasefire. And Putin signed on to a ceasefire. And yes, it was on Donald Trump's watch. He just doesn't want you to know that. And Russia broke that ceasefire. They broke it. They invaded. They toppled the Donbass region. They started bombing the crap out of Zaporizhia, which was a freaking nuclear power plant. Please, he's lying so much. And, he's lying in front of a man whose blood and losses are he visits the front line. He is literally the leader of a country at war, a Syria under occupation, a war of aggression. And the other thing I have to, because, he repeats lies so often that people start to believe them. No, it is not true that Obama gave sheets. Okay, Obama gave radars, sophisticated radars. Obama gave drones. Obama gave missiles. Okay? This is such garbage. But it's all because Donald Trump wants to, or at least is somehow being made to, side with Putin. It's like Helsinki all over again. You remember that Helsinki thing where he stood on the stage and he said, Vladimir Putin told me very strongly that he didn't interfere in our elections, and I have no reason to believe why he would. That's what that was. Except this time with a man whose treasure, his young men and women, are being sacrificed in a meat grinder that Putin is willing to stay inside of, because Putin, if anybody is in the bad spot, if anybody is in a spot where they can lose, it's Russia. Why do I say that? Because Russia is literally foraging through old Soviet stockpiles for vehicles, old Soviet stockpiles, because he has no more tanks. He is literally deploying, well, we know he deployed prisoners. And by the way, the guy who was running the troll farm that, was indicted in the Mueller report, there were 13 indictments of this troll farm in St. Petersburg, Russia, that were influencing and inserting themselves into the 2016 election. But we don't have extradition with Russia, so nobody stood trial. But, he wants you to forget any of that. Well, Prigozhin was the guy who was running that troll farm. And Prigozhin was the guy who was supplying troops through the Wagner group. Remember? And guess where Prigozhin is now? Oh, that's right. Putin killed him. Killed him. So he was raiding prisons to get bodies to deploy into Ukraine in the Wagner group. Now he's dead. And Putin has very few young men left. The population of Russia is small. Believe it or not, it's a huge span of land, 7 time zones. But their population is pretty small. And they've sacrificed, hundreds of thousands of young men already to this war of aggression in Ukraine. And now they're deploying North Korean soldiers. So Zelensky's instinct is to tell Donald Trump the good news. We can beat Russia. All we have to do is wait them out. I don't want a ceasefire because we can win. Let's win. Trump doesn't want to win.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
All right. Barbara in California.
Hi, that president has really disgusted this country and made us look bad. I thank you so much for letting us hear for those 10 minutes what the president of Ukraine had to be put up under. That is so shame and disgusting.
I mean, they're an ally. Can you imagine, being our ally now and watching that and seeing how the president of the United States treats an ally who is fighting a live war for the last 3 years?
Yes. 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 And be degraded.
Hello? Hello? Corey in New Mexico.
Oh, hey. Oh, my goodness. Adjectives. There are not enough adjectives to describe the awful, disgusting, horrible behavior. And I think the main thing I want to say is that I was pretty clear from the get-go that Trump and Vance were really looking to have that argument.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a real setup, and it was like,
well, when have
the
you
thing
ever...
where the boyfriend makes you mad so they can break up with you,
No, what are you talking about? That sounds very abusive. No, but obviously J.D. Vance was there to start this fight, right? Obviously J.D. Vance was the person there that was, when have you ever seen diplomacy, A, done on television like this, B, the Vice President of the United States chiming in to a diplomatic meeting ever? Never. You never have, because he was there for a reason. He was like a landmine buried underneath the sod. And then, somebody triggers him and says, okay, landmine, go off. And he did.
Yep. No, he was definitely like the bully's little accomplice who was just going to really, do all the dirty work and set the stage for.
Well, the obvious
Trump's
reason is because Zelensky refuses to give away $500 billion of rare earth minerals or aluminum or titanium or lithium or any of the things that they mine for in Ukraine based on a lie. We did not give Zelensky $350 billion, okay? That is an untruth. That has been the repetitive lie that Donald Trump tells all the time so that it's garbage in, garbage out, right? We gave more than anybody. Therefore, we have a bigger voice than anybody. And we can say, yeah, you might be an ally, but we still want your stuff and we want twice what, we paid for you to defend yourself. Well, it's the whole thing is a ruse. And Zelensky knows that, they got their, what they're using in Russia. See, this is the thing. America stopped paying attention to Ukraine a while ago because we had our own seriously sick problems. Okay, we had an epidemic. We had a pandemic. We had broken supply chains at the other side of that. And then we had an election where we were told, that everything we were told about COVID was a lie. It was a hoax. It was an untruth. The vaccines were going to kill you. Just all of this happening at the same time that Ukraine is trying to defend itself against Russian invasion, and not the first Russian invasion either, and not the first occupation by Russia in Ukraine. This has been going on for 11 years. And 11 years, if you look back at who was president over the last 11 years, you know whose name is going to be in there? That's right, Donald Trump. This happened on his watch, too. And he keeps trying to divorce himself from any bad things that happen on his watch there. However, Ukraine has been fighting and fighting and fighting, and they have depleted so much of Russia's tanks. There's no tanks left. Do you know how they're bringing supplies into Ukraine now? Donkeys. No, I swear, donkeys. They're bringing donkeys. They're using donkeys as transportation to replenish some of the soldiers and some of the I don't want to call them press. They're like bloggers, Russian bloggers that are on the front lines. And so they're using donkeys to bring the ammunition and the supplies into the front lines, right? Last year, they started using motorcycles and dirt bikes. And those razors, that our kids like, the electric scooters, they use those too. And I swear, Russia, they're such world heavyweight champion liars that, kind of like Trump on steroids is what Russian lying is, because they've been doing it for centuries and they got it down. So they're saying, no, it's our choice to use donkeys. It's not because we don't have vehicles. It's not because they're using civilian cars too, just so you know. No, they're saying the reason why we use donkeys is because better that a donkey gets killed than it is, two guys bringing supplies. We do this because we care about our soldiers. And it's just like, it's unbelievable. They have nothing. They have nothing left. And here's Donald Trump trying to extort Zelensky again. And it was top of mind. The extortion that he got caught doing last time on the perfect phone call. Remember? Where he said to Zelensky, hey, listen, you don't even need to open up an investigation into Biden. You just need to make it look as if you are opening up an investigation into Biden. I can almost promise you that was the same deal that was going on today. You don't even have to give us any of your rare earths. You think Donald Trump knows what a rare earth mineral is? You think he could name beryllium? I say no. He likes to say rare earths. Because to him, it sounds like diamonds or something, right? Diamonds, emeralds, rare earth, gemstones. In his mind, you understand. Okay, so he's like, Zelensky, you just need to sign this and we need to declare victory, right? Is what. And Zelensky's like, if I sign this, where are my security guarantees? Because obviously a lot of this stuff is on Russian-occupied land. Okay, and so what's to say that Russia doesn't say we're going to keep on, occupying, and you'll get it from us? You'll get it from us. What, is Zelensky a moron? Do you really think the leader of Ukraine or any country in Europe is a moron? Do you really think that you're not a moron for suggesting this ruse that nobody is going to see through? So obviously, Zelensky had a pre-meeting. Okay, they met before this presser, where they opened it up. And Zelensky, I'm sure, told Donald Trump, I'm not able to sign that today. And I came here so I could get in the room because you have been negotiating our country's future without us. And so I said I would come here and I would, I would hand you an agreement that we could sign, which he did. But I can't sign yours. But I needed to get in the room. Who's smarter here, okay? The fox in the henhouse or Donald Trump? So Zelensky just wanted a seat at a table where his country's future was being given away to an autocrat based on a bullcrap piece of paper deal that had no enforcement, no security agreement, no way to even collect, just so Trump could look like he deserved the Nobel Peace Prize, because that's what he was thinking the whole time. But remember, he said, oh, I'll make peace with Ukraine. This is a very easy deal. It's a very easy deal. It'll happen before I'm even, sworn in. If you elect me, it'll happen even before I'm president of the United States, because I know exactly how to do a deal. These people don't know how to do a deal. These people do a deal? You're talking about women and children and raping and pillaging and destroying apartments and maternity hospitals and malls. And white phosphorus, and are you insane? I mean, but today is a lesson for us. It was the last possible day that we could believe that Donald Trump was on the side of America. It's the last possible minute that anybody could think that America is a place that's great, because America ceased to be good today. America became some transactional bullcrap oligarchy today. America became a shadow of its former self. It became small. It became weak. It became stupid. It became a country that sees life as worthless and money as everything. And that the only reason to live in America isn't for the freedom. It's not for liberty. It's not for freedom of the press. It's not for, freedom to assemble. It's not so that we can, expand freedom to people who may not have ever seen it, touched it, tasted it, felt it. No, it's now to do a business deal that benefits Donald Trump. That is the entire purpose in the president of the United States of America's mind for what America is about and why it should exist. Now, I know that's true because I've been watching him try to dismantle this country bit by bit in 40 days. And using a foreign adversary, because Elon Musk is no friend of America and he is foreign. So you could legitimately call him a foreign adversary. You could legitimately say Donald Trump invited the enemy into our computer systems because Elon promised him, if you give me your computers, I can give you the country. I can give you the whole thing. You could do what you want with it. And that's what happened.
Mary, how does looking man?
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream.
Change has come to America.
Keep the faith. This is going to be a disaster.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину піднімемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чого
love that song. It's an old folk song, okay? It's not an anthem. It's just a great old folk song. I mean, is there any question, like, who you're rooting for in this war? Really? I mean, we have a president who's rooting for Russia. I can't believe it. We told you this. The Lincoln Group told you this. Rick Wilson told you this. Kamala Harris told you this. Zelensky told you this. Everybody told you. The Vindmans told you this. The House that impeached Donald Trump for extorting Zelensky back in the day, where Donald Trump swears, I wasn't president. I wasn't president. I mean, it's just an amazing, sick, twisted, fantastical, psychotic, megalomaniac that's in charge of our country right now. And the Supreme Court seems to think that whatever he does in his official capacity is totally legal. Something has gone so wrong with the American experiment. And quite frankly, I think everybody knows it now. I really do. I think every single body knows it now. Except for like the Enrique Tarrios of the world who, well, they know it too. They've always known it, but they want that. I don't think there's any normal American with a family, any normal American with a mom or a dad, any normal American who has health insurance or is trying to get health insurance, any normal American who is doing a work-a-day job that thinks that Donald Trump is on the right track here with any of this, okay? Or that Elon Musk is a welcome interloper in our affairs. And why didn't we think of that sooner? I don't think there's anybody left in this here country that thinks that this is going well. And I've said, early, because, listen, I just want you to know whether or not, when you listen to me, you're hearing the future or you're hearing, some more of the, I don't know, the kickboxing, Joe Rogan sort of a, hey, Elon, come on in and we'll smoke pot together and we'll become fast friends kind of belching of thoughts. So I said this was not going to last long. I told you that I didn't really believe that Donald Trump's presidency was going to last all that long. People always wanted to know why. And I said, well, I can't tell you. And I can't. I can't tell you why. I can just tell you that you can see in 40 days what he's destroyed. And people aren't down with it. And so how that ends, I don't know. I don't know. But I can certainly guarantee you that come the midterms, when we take back the House, because people are sick of this, he'll be impeached. Whether or not he gets removed again will be an open question for a Republican Senate, because I'm not really 100% sure that we could take back the Senate. They do have a big, giant 3-seat majority in the Senate. The House... He's so stupid, Donald Trump is. The House, he had I think he had 3-seat, 4-seat majority in the House, but then he picked off the House Republican members and gave Mike Johnson a 1-seat majority because he pulled out this woman who he calls Stepanak, Elise Stefanik. I have to think about how to mispronounce her name. He doesn't. He cannot say her name. He doesn't know her. He's never learned her name. And Stepanak, which is what he calls Stefanik, is supposed to be our UN ambassador, and she can't leave the House.
Of course, these midterms you're talking about are predicated on us dodging one of the multiple paths to a national emergency so he can cancel the whole thing.
I see what you did. I see what you did. You just downshifted into my argument instead of having the conversation we had about you think that your fear is controlling your narrative, and I told you this. Brett doesn't think we're going to have an election in the midterms because Brett's fear has overcome him, and he thinks that Elon and Trump can somehow call off a midterm election. And, he thinks that could happen because Elon's in the computer system. So I had to tell them if I'm lying. Or if I'm being too tough on you.
No, you're not being too tough.
No, I'm telling the truth about this conversation we had.
I felt like a free and fair election going forward, even the midterms, was a slim proposition.
Because?
I thought there is a possible way that we could have a Putin scenario where all of a sudden these crazy Republicans are getting like 60, 70, 90% of the votes in their states completely, compromised by whatever it is Elon and Trump have been cooking up. But electronically or otherwise, I don't propose to know how they do it. I just have.
But I explained to you that it can't be done
like that. You
it
pushed
can't
me off
because
of that.
because midterm elections. Not only do states run presidential elections, but midterm elections are uber local. Midterm elections are run by election supervisors in your county. It's a very seriously local effort, and the polling places are manned by us. So that isn't the way. What is the way? I said to you, we left our conversation. Tell them if I'm lying or if I'm exaggerating or anything.
You're not.
Just go ahead and say you're embellishing if I am.
You are not embellishing at all.
I said, I got to go to the bathroom. You said you did too. I went to the bathroom. I came back and I said, well, I thought about it. And I said, well, there is one trick. There is one thing that Trump and Elon could do. And he doesn't even need Elon for this. And that is get us involved in some sort of a national emergency, get us involved in a war, and declare martial law. Get us involved in a deployment of the U.S. military on American soil for whatever reason. And that's the only way that they could stop a midterm election. That's the only way.
And I feel like it's got to be their aim because this is the only way this insane circus comes to an end. And why would they ever allow that to happen?
Because you're assuming that they can allow things. And they can't.
They've done a lot of things.
The only thing they can do, right, is literally take apart the government bit by bit, piece by piece, which is what they are doing, meaning Elon and Trump, okay? And Donald Trump could declare martial law if the courts allow him to declare martial law, and then there's no election. I think this is the only thing that Donald Trump admires Zelensky for, because Zelensky has a country in a hot war. I mean, it's a war. It's a shooting war. It's an ongoing war. You have bombs falling on Kiev. Okay, and they can't have elections.
All things Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, The Randi Rhodes Show.
When Vladimir Putin invaded a peaceful Ukraine, his brutal shock troops committed hideous war crimes against women, children, and the elderly. He bombed cities, towns, and villages. America and the world gave Ukraine weapons, supplies, and intelligence. The Ukrainians put their courageous soldiers in the line of fire. With great sacrifice, this alliance broke the invasion, pushed it back, liberated millions. Victory for Ukraine is in sight, but the war isn't over. And the new front is in Washington, where MAGA Republicans want a Putin victory. They'll cut off aid to Ukraine if they take power. You heard that right. They want America to switch sides, help Putin win, threatening us with nuclear annihilation. It's sick. It's wrong. It's MAGA. If they win in November, Putin wins, and the blood will be on our hands.
The Lincoln Project paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I don't know why that sounded so crappy, but it did. It sounded really awful. Sorry, everybody. Sorry. Okay, so obviously that was the Lincoln Project. It was an offering about 2 years ago saying that if Trump won the election, he would abandon Ukraine. Hello, we're here now. You are here. I feel like I'm in the shopping mall, back in the mall days, looking at, how do I get to Claire's? How do I get to Piercing Pagoda? Let's see, where am I? Oh, you are here.
You got to take a right at the Sam Goody.
The Sam Goody. Now, that's really old. I was going to say the Hot Topic. They're still there, that store. And every year, Jessica buys me something weird from that store every year.
They stay relevant because they've got a lot of shirts that have like a lot of pop culture iconic stuff on them. I even go there sometimes.
Yeah, I got weird socks that had, anti-Trump stuff on them. Yeah, I didn't really want to say that on the air because, you don't want to see Hot Topic, invaded by MAGA. Good Lord, man. This is crazy. All right, Leonard in Ohio.
How are you doing this afternoon?
Fine, thank you. Where are you in Ohio?
Columbus.
Oh, okay.
I really enjoyed watching Trump and Zelensky have their talk today. The first 90% of their talk went smooth, went very nice. But right, we had an interviewer ask Zelensky a question, why aren't you wearing a suit? And Zelensky, gave a response, and then he said to Zelensky, do you even own a suit? And which was, it was totally uncalled for. He was not reprimanded by Trump at all. He wasn't reprimanded by Trump, but Trump 20 minutes later, they said, I kind of like the clothes that you got on. So I think Trump was trying to get Zelensky on TV to become unlikable from Americans. Later on, one of the things that you pointed out was they had J.D. Vance speak up and get very aggressive and said, you should not, and then he went on to the whole thing, you should not be here without thanking Trump for all the help that we've given you in your country, and you haven't thanked him once. And I think A.R. Vance said that right after Trump said one more question. I think it could have been set up that J.D. Vance, as soon as I say one more question, that you're supposed to speak up, and we'll try to get him angry and mad, maybe even cuss on TV.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to make Zelensky look like a bad guy by trying to get him to perform on TV, and then news media isn't going to show the whole thing. Generally, on the news, it'll just show Zelensky arguing with your president, and we know how terribly rude it would look like to have him come over, and Trump's trying to end the war that he's in, and yet Zelensky is arguing and interrupting. Of course, the interruptions went both ways. Trump interrupted him. He interrupted
Trump was
Trump.
Screaming at him. Trump was literally sitting next to him, screaming at him.
Yes, he was.
So, but between you and me, Leonard, we owe an apology. Okay, we do. You sent J.D. Vance. We sent Trump. Okay, I'm Florida. So
right.
Take it back.
I'm sorry?
We need to take it back.
Yeah, we need to take it back.
Yes.
Back, we sure do. It looks like this whole thing was orchestrated before.
It does.
Because Zelensky's country got invaded, Americans feel sympathetic towards him because he has to fight a war for 3 years when he was attacked. Trump wanted to get so that America wouldn't feel so sympathetic towards him. So if we can just get him to argue with me on TV, we'll just show that over and over and over again and say, yeah, his country got attacked, but look how rude he is to our president.
Yeah, because what's a little war when you're not thanking Donald Trump enough?
Exactly.
What's 46,000 dead Ukrainian soldiers? If you're not thanking Donald Trump enough, they don't compare.
Thank God for you. I really appreciate seeing your insights like today's show. I did pick up that J.D. Vance was probably set up to try to get him to argue and to get Zelensky to interrupt the president.
Yeah, because
I didn't pick that up until I got it from you.
That's okay. I mean, honestly, the only reason why I know it is because I've never seen a vice president ever involved in an Oval Office meeting with the head of state before, ever. And not only was he there on the couch ready, but what he was ready to do was what you're saying, make Zelensky look bad and ungrateful and ungracious and sloppy and no suit, no tie. Meanwhile, Elon walks around in a Occupy Mars T-shirt or a tech support T-shirt and a hat, a black hat in the Oval Office. In the Oval Office, which, every single person who's ever served in the military has to know the rules of hats.
But by the way, a quick little aside.
Knows the hat comes off.
While Trump was lying getting louder and louder and insulting Zelensky. He is such a coward. He does not once look Zelensky in the eye, directly in his eye, while he's spewing all of these insults and lies. He will not look Zelensky in the eye. He's such a coward.
Yeah, and so, we did play the 10, almost 11 minutes of the really ugly part of this meeting. I don't know what to call it. It's a meeting. Yeah, like in The Godfather. Whoever asked for the meeting, that's the enemy. Okay, that's the person. And, can you cut me a break for old time's sake? Can't do it, Sally. Can't do it. But J.D. Vance was positioned there, okay? There's no doubt in my mind to start this ugliness. But if you want to see the whole thing, C-SPAN will have it, okay? I don't know, what time, or, well, you know what? You don't need a time anymore. I forgot. It's the internet. You can watch anything you want to watch now on the internet. So if you haven't seen it, you need to see it because it's essential to understand how America ended today. Because it did.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randy, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
All right, 33 after. It's Friday. Don't buy anything. Don't buy anything. Today is Buy Nothing Friday. This was organized by just a concerned citizen who put it out on his TikTok and his Instagram. And, his name's John Schwartz. Should mean nothing to you because we've never really heard of him. But he built a huge following on social media. And he was hoping that, a few people would participate in this Buy Nothing deal and, show that strikes like this, economic strikes like this actually can work and do work. And they have worked in places like Brazil. They've worked, in other places. You remember that the Republicans, here, let me just jog your memory real quick. Remember when Bud Light had a trans woman, an adorable one. She was very cute. Endorsing Bud Light, and the Republicans lost their minds. They literally lost their minds. I don't know how uncomfortable they must be around transgendered people, but enough to make them give up their own Bud Light, their own beer of choice. And it actually had an impact on the Anheuser-Busch company, right? And so they fired that girl. So that economic boycotts can work. And today is one of them. And we just wanted to give a shout out to John Schwartz, who actually was shocked, just as shocked as we were, that people are doing it. People are really doing it. They're not buying anything today. And, I'm not buying anything today, just so you know. So Doug in Washington State.
Hey, Randy.
Hey, Doug. Wow.
So I think it's important that we pay attention to every day's news dumpster fire.
Huh.
But how about we back up every once in a while and just have a look at the big picture? And the question is, how does the Trump presidency end? And, when and how? Because perfectly well that as soon as the MAGA people start seeing their checks cut, they're turning on him.
Right.
His poll numbers have cratered, or historically cratered. And so at some point it's going to end. And I told Brett that Florida has two replacement congressional elections.
Yeah, we have two special
April.
elections. Yeah, April 1st.
So you guys who threw us under the bus, as you just owned,
yes,
could begin getting back out, but just taking the House back. And I mean, literally, if we congressionally and through the Senate pull the rug out from under him, everything he's just doing anyway. So, exactly at what point, when the majority of the people have turned against him, when the House has gone against him, the Senate's against him, at what point do we actually begin to see the collapse? What's that look like?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I keep saying I don't know. I honestly don't know. And anybody who says they do, I think they're, bullcrapping you. I don't think anybody understands how this ends or has their brain wrapped around how it ends. I would like to see it end, through democratic means, meaning I would like to see, him impeached and the Senate finally vote to remove him. And just that's it. We're done. And oh, my God, we dodged a bullet. That would be great. That would be a really nice fitting democratic end to an undemocratic regime that we're suffering through right now, who is stealing all of our data in order to violate, I won't put it, in order to compete with other competitors who don't have this information about the American people. That's why Elon wants all this info, okay? He wants all of our data because whoever has the data gets the best AI. Whoever has all the names of all the Americans gets the best pay app, right? Whoever gets rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau gets to cheat the American people the hardest. Let's put it that way, right? And there's no place where we could go to complain. That is what Elon's thing is. Donald Trump's thing is he wants to be he wanted to be out of jail. He doesn't want to face the music. He had all these cases pending. Okay, and he would have, seen the bar of justice. He would have been convicted of a whole lot of things, especially the January 6th, D.C. trial would have had him, behind bar. So they have specific reasons why they want to be where they are. Now, it's up to us to finish it. It's up to us to do what we know how to do in a democracy. Now, I will tell you, there are two special elections in Florida. One's in Florida's 6th district, which is Mike Walls, who was picked off by Trump to be in the cabinet. And the other is Matt Gaetz, who had to resign in shame and now has disappeared into the blogosphere or some right-wing, fringy TV, YouTube channel. I don't know. But the two of them, those two seats, could actually expand the Republicans' majority. These are very Republican districts, or you could vote for the two Democrats that are up against these two Republicans in the special election. I don't see Florida doing the right thing. I just don't.
So at best, if the D's took the seats and they impeached him and he left in disgrace, we have JD. Who, at least with Trump, he's in it for his own malevolent good.
You're assuming that JD's fingerprints aren't on any of these crimes, right? And that he would not be impeached as well. And I don't assume that that's true. Okay, so then we would end up with President Mike Johnson, unless we had that. Well, no, because we would have President Jeffries. We would have Hakeem Jeffries as President of the United States.
Well, and, in the greater scheme of things, there's worse outcomes.
Oh, no, totally. I mean, I think he's, listen, he's not a fire and brimstone guy. He's not a Katie Porter. He's not an AOC. He's not a, there's a woman from New Hampshire now. She's amazing. She's really turned herself into somebody that you go to for good arguments. But anyway, Hakeem Jeffries is very presidential. He just is. But
I think we just need to, just every now and then, and you guys, Brett, were going right up to the edge just before going into the break. It's like, yes, let's spend some time every day on the dumpster fire at the end of democracy, and then let's back up and game it out and keep an eye on pride.
When you say, to widen the lens and look at the entirety of this American debacle that is the Trump administration, that is what we've been doing. I mean, he's only been president for 40 days. It feels like 40 years, okay? I feel like, I've been wandering the desert for 40 years looking for a, cool drink of water. But I'm used to that because I am a wandering Jew. But honestly, he's putting this country through so much, so fast, and I don't think anybody likes it. However, when it comes to local elections, it's true. We have a chance. We do have a chance. You can vote. You could vote in Florida's 1st district, which is Matt Gaetz's district. There's a Democrat. His name is Gay Valamont. Okay, and you could vote in Mike Walls' district. There's a guy named Josh Wheel. These are two Democrats. They don't stand a chance. But you could actually take your anger out in Florida on the Republican Party on April 1st, which is coming real quick. because we vote by mail, and we can vote early and all that. So it could happen.
Well, and hopefully he'll set enough people's hair on fire in Florida that begin to turn. Wouldn't it make you proud?
Yes, it would. It would make me very proud. It would make me proud. It would make me hopeful. It would make me encouraged. It would make me not hate living here. Yeah.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Oh, man. Last segment for, the weekend. Oh, my God. I'm going to watch that thing on an endless loop all weekend because our president looked so completely dirty. He looked like such a traitor to this country, which he is. But I think so many people are going to see that, and so many people are going to understand what he and J.D. Vance did to one of our allies. And if they start to, get pulled into the larger conversation of whether or not World War III, the groundwork was laid for it today by Donald Trump, right? If they start to pay attention to that thing, they're going to start to realize that all of our allies, all the NATO allies, there's 32 NATO countries now? That's a lot of countries. It's almost all of Europe. And the UK, who we have the special relationship with, and they're part of the Five Eyes, Australia, all these allies of ours now know for sure, for real, that they cannot rely on the United States to be on the side of free and fair governments, that the United States is out when it comes to democracy, when it comes to, transparency, when it comes to freedom. It's out. The United States doesn't choose freedom. The United States chooses autocracy. The United States is choosing to side with the axis of evil. The president of the United States today literally defended Vladimir Putin in front of Zelensky for a good solid 10 minutes. I mean, and Putin is such a bloodthirsty animal. He is really a murderer. And remember the last time Donald Trump was, confronted, there was Bill O'Reilly who confronted Donald Trump and said, well, how could you be on the side of Vladimir Putin? He's a killer. And Donald Trump's answer, do you remember it? What do you think, we're so innocent? There's a lot of killers. What do you think, we're so innocent? Remember that? He has been on Vladimir Putin's side entirely too long. And something is going on there. Whether or not we could put our finger on it, whether or not you could answer it in a tweet, what's going screw that. Today, everybody understands that the bargain of being an American has been cut off, okay? There is no solid chance, if you were a betting person, that America will continue to be a democracy after today. I mean, it was just so self-evident. It was just so obvious. And our allies know it. And that's why I'm hoping people will actually start paying attention to what is going on with Donald Trump. Because, listen, the whole thing with the purging of our government, last night a federal court weighed in and said that the Office of Personnel Management, the OPM, which is the HR branch of our government, was doing illegal things, and that they had no legal authority at all. It was unlawful to mass fire people the way that they've been doing. Now, when you bring up like who could take Donald Trump's place, and that you think it would be J.D. Vance, I don't think J.D. Vance has clean hands. I just don't. I don't think he's viable on any platform, anywhere, to be the next president of the United States. I don't think the Republicans in Congress would accept him as president. I don't think the Republicans in the Senate would accept him. I don't think anybody would. I really don't, except for Peter Thiel and some of the tech bros. But that's how you tie J.D. Vance into the entire Elon thing. Now, just my best guess is the first person who will be thrown under the bus. The first person will be Elon Musk, because he is so unpopular, especially with MAGA. He is so unpopular in these United States. He is so unpopular with so many people. He is literally poison, okay? to MAGA. MAGA, I was listening to a whole bunch of phone calls with MAGA calling in. Okay, you can see it on Sean Hannity's radio show. You can see it on C-SPAN Washington Journal if you're a fan of that thing. They're all calling up going, Elon Musk has got to go. This man is making a mockery. The way he's serving veterans, the way he's throwing veterans under the bus. 30% of all the federal employees are vets. And the idea that, he's treating them so poorly, but, they ignored Donald Trump for so long, and they did so at their peril, obviously, because now they're all in peril. The vets did, because they voted for him. And that was after he said that they were suckers and losers. That was after he said, I don't want a wounded guy, on the camera with me. It doesn't look good. I don't want him there. It was after he said, I like people that don't get captured, regarding John McCain. So at their own peril, they followed him down this rabbit hole, and now they're losing their livelihoods. Now they're being, and their medical care, right, at the VA. He's firing everyone at the VA. He's firing 90% of the labor department, which is every worker. Whether you realize it or not, you get protection from the Department of Labor. Ask Robert Reich. Every single one of us that works, especially for corporate, you're all protected because of the Department of Labor. You can't see. Elon Musk wants you to. What does he call it when he wants you to sleep there and everything like that? He has an expression for it. You're gonna have to do this, be a slave. Basically, he calls it. But he has an expression for it. I can't remember it right now. But when he fired all the Twitter employees, he told hardcore. He said that they were going to have to, the remaining people were going to have to work hardcore, meaning you can't go home. You can't go home. I'm firing so many employees that all this work is going to double, triple, and quadruple for you that are left. But you need to be grateful that you're left. And so you need to work hardcore. You need to move your families into your offices. Seriously. And if you do away with the Department of Labor, we all become Elon's slaves, right? And everybody's starting to get to know that. So I think he's the first to go. JD will go with Trump because JD is the connective tissue between Donald Trump and the tech bros. Remember, Peter Thiel and Elon Musk started PayPal together, right? They all know each other. And they all plotted and schemed and planned this. And it's not going well for any of us. And it's not going well for our vets. And it's not going well for anybody who works for a living, which is everybody. And it's not going well for people who are, using the VA for their health care because they've earned that right. And it's not going well for people who are scared about losing their Medicaid, which is 72 million Americans, mostly children. Yeah, it's not going well. And today was just the icing on it was the cherry on the cake of this debacle that is the Trump administration in just 40 days. And, people who said this is going to go really fast, it's just going to fall apart really fast. It was me. Then all of a sudden I started hearing James Carville say it too, that it's all going to go really fast. I think we're right. I do. I think we're right. And I don't know how it's going to look. I don't know how it's going to end. And I'm hoping it ends democratically, but you can never know because MAGA is violent. They just are. That's a gimme. MAGA believes in violence. I mean, when you see Enrique Tarrio, who because of Donald Trump was let out of jail off of a 22-year charge of trying to overthrow our government, and Donald Trump thought that guy was worthy of a pardon, and so were all the other January 6th insurrectionists. They all deserved a pardon. And now they're trying to say, when he pardoned us for January 6th, he pardoned us from all the other crimes we committed because they're repeat offenders, most of them. And when you see them, especially Enrique Tarrio and that ilk, literally harassing Michael Fanone on videotape and cursing at him and saying, he's out to get him and all that. And then last night I saw a woman who was arrested on January 6th and got 2 months in jail, prison, actually, 2 months in prison. And she said, she's being harassed now by them. She's being harassed by the Proud Boys. And she's got to be in her mid-70s. And she totally owns what she did. And she totally accepts that she pled guilty, and she totally accepted her 2 months in jail. And she's really pissed off that Donald Trump lied to her and made her believe that the election was stolen. But now she's being harassed by them. I mean, the nerve. And now, I don't know if you saw this. This was going to be part of the show today, too, but we got so blown away by what we saw. I think everybody did. But you know, Tristan and Andrew Tate, who are self-proclaimed misogynists, who think that they own a woman's body and that if she's not willing to use it to enrich them, then they get to beat up the woman, whatever. You know, Donald Trump got them released from Romania, where they were being held under house arrest for running a human trafficking ring, and brought to Florida.